Whew, alrighty. Oh, hello, ladies, gents, those in between. Welcome back to another episode of the Hoop Hour. I apologize for the break in between episodes. I was on vacation in Florida, so I didn't have means to record. But we're back. We're here. And we are better than ever, hopefully. Today we're going to talk about the finals because I'm pretty sure the entire series happened while I was away. Or maybe I made episode 1 after game 1. Either way, most of it happened while I was away. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the narratives going into this offseason. We're going to talk about what, teams should do, what they shouldn't do. The draft is in, I believe, a week. So we're going to talk about it, and you're probably going to get some unhinged rants in this one because I am recording this as soon as I got home from the airport, which from Florida to Colorado is a 4.5 hour flight, so I'm a little jet lagged. As well, add in the fact that I got up at 5:30 in the morning and my flight got delayed, so I didn't get into Denver until probably around 2 or 3. I'm tired. I'm jet lagged, and there's some other stuff going on too, but I'm not gonna say it out loud. Anyway, also sorry if you guys were hearing a fan. I turned that off. I forgot. It's been a second since I recorded. Anywho, so the finals happened, and I think this was probably the worst finals of the decade. Look, I know I'm a Nuggets fan, so I'm biased towards 2023. It's probably one of those two. But at least like the Heat and Nuggets had a couple of close games. I don't remember the Mavericks and Celtics having a single close game in the series. There weren't many memorable moments from Heat Nuggets, but at least you could be like, Jamal and Jokic at least had a 30-point triple-double in the same game, both of them. That's not nothing, that's something. That's somewhat of a memorable moment. This series, there was none of that. Like, the most memorable moment was probably Luka getting ejected, or Tim Hardaway Jr. randomly hitting 5 3-pointers in the fourth quarter of Game 4. Like, I don't get it. I also didn't understand why people were picking the Mavs before this series, because I believe my official prediction was Celtics in 6. And it was Celtics in 5. I don't remember if I said I was leaning more Celtics in 5 or Celtics in... If that 6 was closer to a 5 or a 7. But I felt like the Celtics were by far the better team, at least on paper. I gave the Mavs a fighting chance because they had... who, in my mind, was the best player in the series going into it. And still is. He probably played the best of anybody. But, it is what it is. And, yeah... I just think it was an underwhelming finals because none of those games were close, really, and I was hoping for a good series, man. I was hoping for some Luka versus Tatum, Kyrie versus Jaylen Brown, close games down the stretch. Who could clutch it out? I was hoping for a Derek White game winner. I was hoping for a Derek Lively winning lob, I wanted drama. I wanted good basketball, and we got none of that. And look, some of the hoops were good. The Celtics are an entertaining team. They're sort of like the Spurs or the Nuggets from last year, where just a very well constructed team 1 through 7. And then you had Peyton Pritchard, who was I saw a tweet on Twitter describing him as the first special teams player in NBA history, and I found that really funny because, you're not wrong. You know, you're not wrong. He specialized in making half court shots at the end of quarters in this series. He made in garbage time, I believe he was 0 of 18 from the field besides heaves and like the two half quarters that I made, and he didn't miss a half quarter. So, you know, they were running halfback sweep for him. They were running wildcat formation. But yeah, it's like I'm happy for some of my friends because a couple of my friends are Celtics fans. Shout out specifically Noah Terranova and Dom. But you know, it is what it is. We saw Tatum not get Finals MVP. It went to Jaylen Brown. I'm sure the narratives and discourse around that are going to be great. I've seen too much Tatum hate in the postseason in general, but you know, especially with the finals. Like, I get it. A lot of the stuff he did was corny. I was recoiling from just pure cringe factor, you know? Pure just don't want to see this with the we did it like that. Come on, man, come up with your own shtick. You're good, you're fun, at least on the court. Like off the court, listen, it's better to be boring off the court than what some players in the league are. Cough cough Miles Bridges, cough cough Kevin Porter Jr., cough cough Josh Giddey, cough, etc., etc. But even then, you know, Tatum doesn't really have much going for him off the court, like notable personality traits. Like, he has the Kobe thing, but people give him shit for that mostly. It's not like a really endearment thing going for him. So, like, I don't know, Deuce being a dad is probably the closest thing. And also, speaking of Deuce, that was an adorable moment last night when he like picked Deuce up and you know, it was like that was adorable. That was really nice. That was really sweet. But you know, it's just I've seen too much hate on him. Like, he was good even though he didn't shoot well this series. He was playmaking very well. He did a lot of things well. He defended really well. Play made really well. He rebounded well. You know, like, not everything has to be scoring. And he was doing everything but scoring at a high level. And even then, he wasn't a bad scorer. He just was a little inefficient for his own standards. And it went to Jaylen Brown, who averaged less points, less rebounds, and less assists, I think. But also, like, he was really good. You know, I'm not trying to take anything away from JB. And, you know, segue. We're segueing real quick. Nicknames fucking suck now in the NBA. I think I was talking about this with Dom, Kobe, and Eric briefly on the stream for Game 5. I wasn't on that one too long because I was visiting family. But, like, JT and JB are the laziest nicknames I've ever heard for anything ever. You know, like, we used to have the Answer. We used to have the Black Mamba. We used to have the Truth. And now we have JB, JT, Ant. You know, Aura Man for Shea, which is, like, dumb as rocks. Like, Joker's a pretty alright one. There's some decent ones throughout the league. Black Falcon is a hard one. That's Harrison Barnes for those not in the know. The Black Falcon is way too good of a nickname to be given to Harrison Barnes, by the way, but, you know. I like the Alien for Wembanyama. That's an alright one. But so many of them are just so lazy. Like King James, I get it. It's your brand, but like, man, come up with something more creative. Give us something else. But, you know, anyway, back to we've segued, we've Paul Blarded, and now we're going to get back on track. Where was I? Jaylen Brown. Jaylen Brown played well. You know, he's a deserving Finals MVP. It didn't really feel like anyone specifically stood out for the award. Like no one on the Celtics was like, "That's who I want to give it to." Maybe Drew Holiday. Like everyone kind of had a case for it, as long as they played all the games. Like it was probably JB, JT, or Drew. It would have been Porzingis if he was healthy all series, maybe. But he missed time, so wasn't good to be him. And yeah, that's kind of that. I don't have much to say about the finals. It just was boring. There wasn't much to it for me. For many people, I think. Boston won their first ring in 16 years. And congrats to them. But also, fuck Boston. I don't like Boston. City sucks. A lot of the fans suck. Not you, Mike from Massachusetts. Not talking about you. I'm talking about Patriots fans. I'm a Dolphins fan, so I have to hate Patriots fans, and by proxy, a lot of Celtics fans. But anyway, this is the league's 9/11, basically. Anyway, I don't even hate the Celtics that much. That's just a funny joke. Anyway, as we were, I think we're starting to get. There's a new rule. We're starting to get contract extension news, or at least it's legal to tweet out contract extension news now. You're allowed to negotiate with with your old teams, re-sign them without tampering or whatever. Which it's weird that was ever really considered tampering, because they're your own player. How do you tamper with a player who's already on your team? Never got that, but it is what it is. I saw a tweet earlier today that Pascal Siakam wants to go back to Indy, and that Indy wants him back. I think we all saw that coming, but that's a good marriage for those two. Oh yeah, also happy Pride Month to all my queer listeners. I personally am queer, as I'm sure most of you are aware. I don't care to go too much into it right now because this is a basketball podcast and I'm only 12 minutes in and I'm already ranting about other things. But happy Pride Month to those of the queer community. Yeah. Also, Eid Mubarak to my Muslim listeners, if there are any of those out there. I know that was a few days ago, but thought that counts. Yeah, but anyway, back on track. What was I talking about? Oh, contract extensions. Yeah, Pascal, that's good. We're getting rumors that the Knicks have not offered a satisfying offer to OG Anunoby yet, and that is a mistake because he is part of the engine for that team, and if you don't have him, you don't have a lot of what made that team tick, and you would have traded Emmanuel Quickly and RJ Barrett in a couple of seconds, or was it a first? Either way, some draft capital for nothing, basically, because you made the second round. You probably could have done that anyway. I don't know. Listen, I know he's demanding too much and that 3-and-D players should probably not be making $40 million and that there's no middle class in the NBA anymore and that the NBA class structure is looking a lot like real lives where the rich are getting richer, the poor are getting poorer, the middle class kind of dwindling. You're not going to see many players on 15 mil a year anymore or 12 mil or 8 mil. 8 mil is Zeke Naji money now. Also, you know what? We're going to skip ahead a little bit. We're going to fast forward. We're going to accelerate. The Nuggets might lose KCP. And if they do, well, one, I'm going to write a piece about this, so if you want a more in-depth piece about this, I'll probably write one tomorrow. And that'll be on my Substack. Link in the description. Subscribe. Also, while I'm plugging, subscribe to this channel, Doofus. Like the video. Share it with your friends. Please, if I can get to 1,000 subscribers, that would be great. If not, I understand, but it would really help me out. Anyway, yeah, KCP might walk, and that would be really cheap of the Nuggets. That would just be poor ownership. Because if you're not willing to match, like 20 to 25 million for the fifth starter of your championship team, you don't deserve to be a contender. You don't deserve that. Being a contender, it takes, not cheaping out on things. The Celtics never cheaped out. They went into the luxury tax. They were not afraid to pay for the team they had this year. They kept continuity. They grew talent at home. And they bought players when it made sense to. Paid them well. Kept them happy in Boston. The Warriors did the same thing. And it got them 4 titles. You're telling me that you can't pay $20 million a year for KCP? That you can't pay 22 mil a year for KCP? Come on, man. I see some people talking about Bogdanovich as a replacement, which he does bring some things to the table that KCP does not. His shot creation is notably better than KCP, but also he's a far, 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 far worse defender. And part of the reason that the Nuggets are a title contender now, and not just kind of the neat team that they were before, the trades that happened, is their defense. They're a good defensive unit now. And they did not used to be. And a large part of what made them good was KCP. He was an all-defensive level defender this year. He was getting buzz around that. And if you lose that, that is a tough, tough, tough blow. And it signals that you either, one, need to trade another part of the core to rebuild a little bit. Not rebuild in the way of you're trading everything. Just retool, retool to the point where you're not suffering by having Christian Brown starting. You need better spacing than Christian Brown can give you. Christian Brown is not a floor spacer. He's not a good shooter. He made 2 threes all postseason. People have been saying, oh, he shot 38% in the regular season. That's great, but it was 1, on low volume. 2, a lot of that was from above the break. He shot like shit from the corners. And the Nuggets need people who are good at corner threes specifically, because the entire basis of their offense is a 2-man game with Aaron Gordon in the dunker spot, Jokic and Murray running pick and roll at the top of the key, and then 2 elite floor spacers in each corner. Michael Porter Jr., Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. If you go from Kentavious Caldwell-Pope to Christian Brown, that clogs up the dunker spot for Aaron Gordon, which by proxy clogs up the pick and roll for Jokic and Murray, and it ruins the offense as it's built today. Christian Brown is not a bad player. He would be a starter for some teams, but if you want to win a title with him, he is great as a 7th man, 6th man. He is not good as a 5th starter. You need someone of KCP's caliber as your 5th starter, and those do not grow on trees. They are very hard to come by, and there's a reason that they're making 20 to 30 million a season in today's market, because the salary cap is going up, a new media deal is on the way, and if you own an NBA team, you can afford to pay your player $20 million a year. You can afford to pay him $25, even $30 million a year. And don't give me bullshit about not wanting to go into the second apron. You're going to be in the second apron anyway. And also, if you didn't want to be in the second apron, don't pay Zeke Naji 4 years, $32 million. Because 4 years, $32 million for Zeke Naji is absurd, and it looks like one of the worst contracts in the NBA. And also, that is what puts them in the second apron. They can't re-sign KCP without going into the second apron, in large part because of that contract. So Zeke Naji's extension might blow up this starting 5. Because it's starting to sound real somber around Denver and the chance of KCP coming back. Now, I hope he comes back, obviously. I don't think they are a title favorite without it, or even in the first tier of contenders, really, depending on what they do to address the absence of KCP, who is arguably top 25, 30 shooter in the league, top same range for defenders. He's absurd on both ends, and they really should keep him. It would be painful if he left. But also, he would make sense for a lot of teams with cap space, which is like, there's only like 5 teams with cap space, but it'd make sense for the Thunder. It'd make sense for the Pistons. It'd make sense for the Sixers. Like, a lot of sense for the Sixers. And, like, you could make a case that he makes sense for the Spurs. Because if they want to win now, I can't think of anyone better for, 1, a locker room culture, and 2, on-court product than Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. Now, what do you do to address him leaving if he does leave? I don't know. You know, you probably trade for somebody, but who is that person? And is it good enough to really, you know, warrant a entire new trade? Like, and getting rid of a good player in all likelihood, because you have to give up assets to trade. Especially considering Zeke Naji is probably your salary filler. Teams aren't going to want to pay that dude. They're not going to want to give him that contract. So you have to add assets to get off Zeke Naji at this point. If he's your only salary filler, he's your only salary filler. So if KCP leaves, does MPJ get traded? I don't know. But yeah. You know what? I'm actually really fucking tired. So I'm going to end this episode here. I will be back with a actual hour one on Friday, I believe. I'm recording one with Matt Issa, so I'm collecting media pass co-hosts like Infinity Stones. There are only 2 of them, so that doesn't exactly work, but you know, I gave you guys some content. Give me like a day or 2, I'll pump some more out. I'm just exhausted. I'm gonna go edit this and then post it. Bye.